must meet the new regulations or after they are forced to sell out to for-profit water companies. The bill passed yesterday 27-23 with the backing of Senate Republican leadership. Opposition crossed party lines. The sponsor, Senator Pat Stefano, Republican from Fayette County, said the bill will create uniform safety, security, and quality standards for all water and wastewater suppliers. The bill will now move on to the Pennsylvania House. A 3-day action and festival at Pennsylvania's capital this weekend aims to draw attention to the urgency of the climate crisis. Advocates, activists, and concerned residents say they want state leaders to make Pennsylvania a climate leader before it's too late. Emily Scott has more.
The first ever Pennsylvania Climate Convergence is June 11th through June 13th, with panel discussions, workshops, music, and a march to the Capitol building. Karen Faradun of Better Path Coalition, one of the event organizers, says the goal is to determine how the state can address its role in climate change and transition away from fossil fuels.
As the second biggest producer of natural gas, we can't continue to discuss climate in a consumption context only. This is an extraction state. What we have to understand is we're not going to be a contributor to the solution on climate unless we start dealing with production.
After the weekend events, activists plan to install a 6-foot climate countdown clock inside the Capitol building. They'll also hand-deliver a petition to Governor Tom Wolf's office, along with legislative leaders. I'm Emily Scott.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 78 degrees, and then overnight tonight, showers and thunderstorms with a low of 59. Partly sunny skies tomorrow with a high of 73 degrees, and then on Friday, a slight chance of afternoon showers and a high of 76. Saturday, chance of showers before 2 p.m. High is going to be 73 degrees, and then on Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 76 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Now, it's time to talk on Teleforum on Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, 99.3 FM, and beavercountyradio.com. And now, here is the host of the show, Eddie Crow.
It is Teleforum. It's the second hour. The pleasantries continue. I don't have to talk about shrinkflation, and I don't have to talk about laws being put in place that really have no reason. I get to talk to Tom, and that's way better. Tom Gargaro is the co-chairman of the Beaver Falls Car Cruise Committee, and it's coming up this weekend. And first off, good to see you. Second off, you can see Tom. This is being live Facebook feeded. If you've got any questions for Tom, you can call him or you can post them in the Facebook in the comments section. But Tom, I salute you. Well, you're a professional and you know how the game is played. Tom walked in here. Dear Lord, I'm holding the ball. If you want to see, all right, no exaggeration. If you see this on Facebook right now, this has to weigh, I don't know, 85, 95 pounds.
Yep.
When you deal with media, if you show up with pastries, the questions get a lot friendlier. This is from where, Tom?
It's called Dut's House. It's out in Columbiana, Ohio.
Okay. Where I used to go for my bootleg fireworks.
There you go, yeah.
All right. Well, what's in it? To heck with the interview. To heck with that.
Yeah, there's some really, they have the best cream stuffed donuts I've ever come across.
Are you
and that box is loaded with them.
Oh, dear Lord. All right. I'll be pre-diabetic by lunch. Are you a cream? When you commit to a donut, you commit.
Absolutely.
Okay. How many hours of sleep have you not had in the last week? Because this is, if you were the Santa Claus of car cruises, Christmas is Saturday.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Eddie. It takes a lot of work, and as we get closer, there are more and more final items that we have to make sure are crossed off. So this is a busy week. I don't usually plan much in my personal life this week just to be able to get all this stuff done.
How much of that used to happen that over the years? I mean, how many years are we talking about?
This is this committee's seventh year, even though we didn't have one in 2020, of course. But
Right.
This is our seventh year.
Has it been refined to the point okay, that we weren't prepared for that last year? Let's make a note of that. Is it streamlined over the years?
It has streamlined a good bit. We have a follow-up meeting a month or two after the cruise where we ask, the committee people for improvement opportunities. What did we do right? What could we do better?
Like a
Stuff
debrief.
that. Absolutely, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
What gets thrown at you last minute? Are there still people trying to register? Can they still register if you got a car?
Well, you don't have
You just kind of grinned. Did I hit a weird note there?
in an offside way. So
Yeah.
registering cars, we don't register cars. Whoever wants to come comes.
Okay.
There's no judging involved. There's no registration for the cars, right? They just come in, they get a dash plaque, and they go park where they want to park.
All right.
What happens in these last couple of weeks, a lot of vendors decide they start hearing about the cruise, they hear about the size of the cruise, and I understand, and they want to come and set up. We got one yesterday, believe it or not. Now, we have a kind of an organized way of doing this, so we send out to the vendors that we know of and who have been here in the past and say, look, here's when the cruise is. This starts months ago, really January, February, because these food vendors really, they have to book the summer months ahead of time.
Right. Now, how many vendors are we talking about? Ballpark figure. Minus the one that just called. Yeah.
Right, who unfortunately can't participate.
Yeah.
Probably in the ballpark of 30. Now, some of those are nonprofits. We always take pride in the fact that if there are nonprofits specifically located in the Beaver Falls area, the Beaver Falls Alumni Association as an example, right? We find a space for them, and whether they're going to sell water or shoot basketballs, we like the people to know that we support the nonprofits here in Beaver County. So,
What did they say, the person, when you said, no, we don't have space? Did you explain to them, we'd love to have you, but you gotta get in touch with us sooner than the week coming in?
absolutely. And this last minute request actually came across Facebook Messenger, which my wife Judith handles.
Okay.
And she knows this of course as well as I do. She responded and said, "Look, our cutoff date was May 13th for vendors. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
The other thing we get is a lot of, and I appreciate these independent vendors. I think they're wonderful trying to make a living like that. Historically, since the committee's been involved, we only take food vendors or car-related items. That's all. Arts and crafts people, we really don't do that because we want to reserve as many spaces as possible for the nonprofits.
How many arts and crafts? There are some weird people that are going to show up and try and sell something if you let them. Flea markets are for that. So you stick with more of a theme. I would think people appreciate that.
I would hope so. Every year, myself, now Mark Peterson and Paula Dorsch from the city building, we monitor that. We actually give out a permit to any vendor that's going to be here. So we can, as we drive up and down the cruise lane as it's getting set up, we can tell. Every year, we run across somebody
that
who
just
all of a
showed
sudden
up,
just sets up, and they're selling like jewelry or something. And we kindly tell them, look, you don't have a permit, you can't be here. And,
you got to go.
We try to keep it true to its purpose.
What's the best thing about the car cruise? Because you're coming up on double digits, handling it, helping handle it. What's your favorite thing about the car cruise? Because last year was the first one that I had been to all day, and I was amazed at the energy that never waned. It wasn't, okay, we had an early crowd come by and then later. It was all day. What's your favorite part about it?
After really 3 or 4 months of work, my favorite part, Saturday morning is a very busy time for us, getting everything going and stuff. Once that busy time is over, what I really enjoy personally is all the people. Everybody here is happy. Everybody's having a good time. And in the crazy world we live in, especially today, right?
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful thing for me to see. Everybody's getting along. Nobody's disagreeing about anything. If you like Fords and you talk to a Chevy guy, there's some friendly banter. But what I really enjoy is looking at really the thousands and thousands of people just having a great time at that event.
How much does it remind you of the before time? Anything before the internet? Is that when you see a crowd like that, is it weird that it jumps out noticeably as, oh my God, people are getting along?
Well, for me, they're getting along, and they're getting along in person. I'm a little old-fashioned. That's why my wife Judith handles the Facebook and all that kind of stuff, right? I don't really get into that stuff much. I like face-to-face stuff. I like sitting here talking with you face-to-face. And that day, it's all face-to-face. There's no communications going on, at least from our committee or anybody else. I see people on their phones all day long, of course, but I think it's very rewarding to see people get back to face-to-face communications.
How much does it remind us that there is, and I'm talking about with the cars now, that there are ways to do things before computers? That might be one of my favorite things about checking out the cars. There's not a CPU in most of these cars. Is that like a warm nostalgic thing that I'm getting?
Yeah, and I love that, and I think probably everybody on the committee and most of the people who attend here, right? These are almost all very, very old cars, some beautifully done, but you can look into any car. I'm not a mechanic, but I can look into any car and identify pretty much every part of that engine. I'm not saying I could fix it, but I can identify it. I look in a new car, I'm not sure what I'm even looking at.
Well, that's because you're not looking at anything. There's this big plastic cowling over the top of everything.
That's right.
And the way to unlock it, there's one key, and they send out one key per county, and you have to go find the guy, and it turns into a Lord of the Rings to get your plugs changed.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
What's the toughest part? Because be honest, when you deal with all the moving parts that a car cruise has, no pun intended, there are going to be some parts that are just, it's a necessary evil.
Recently, Eddie, actually, the toughest challenge we've had is spaces for cars.
Isn't that a good problem?
It's a wonderful problem to have, absolutely.
Yeah.
Every year, we usually get down here Saturday morning. We're down here Friday night pre-setting up. We come down Saturday morning around 5:30-ish. Get down in the morning to try to start setting things up.
You let me know what that looks like. I'm going to be here all day, but my day starts at about 8.
Right.
And so by the time I see you, you'll be 8, 9 cups of coffee in, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And it is a very, very busy time. And unfortunately, what I've seen in the years I've been involved, it used to be 8:39, 9:30. Spaces on 7th Avenue were getting full, even going out, flaring out towards the ends, right, of the cruise lane. Every year it gets earlier and earlier. Last year, 6:30, 6:45, there were people saying, and I went and took a look, there were hardly any spots on 7th Avenue left. Now, they can park on the side streets too,
right,
but everybody wants their car on the main
Everybody
drag.
wants to be looked at. You polished it for 3 days, sure.
Absolutely. Polished it for the last 5 months sitting in a garage.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? If you chrome the engine, you deserve what you get.
I agree.
Tom Gargaro is my guest. He is the co-chairman of the Beaver Falls Car Cruise Committee. The Car Cruise, it's a monster. It's this Saturday in downtown Beaver Falls. There are just so many questions I have regarding society, and I wasn't going to ask them because you brought it up, talking about the weirdness in the world. How much of an island in the sun is the Car Cruise for you?
For me personally, it seems to be a very unique island in the sun. It's a thing that we everybody on the committee loves working on. We don't. We have some disagreements on the committee.
Has there ever been a fist fight? That you paused makes me happy.
No, but very close, I would say, once or twice, and it's all over parking spaces. We have people that have been coming here for 25, 30 years.
Right.
They've parked in the same space all the time. And I like how people are ingenious, right? So we block off the night before the spots for our cars. Because I think the committee spends 4 or 5 months of work. They should have a reserve spot.
You should have a place to park to get to it. Yes, I'll give you that. Okay.
Right. Now, but people start getting here earlier and earlier. People get here. When I get here at 5:30, there's 20 or 30 cars already here.
Yeah.
And people sitting out. And then, people will come to me or Steve Peterson or anybody on the committee and say, listen, I've parked here for all these years. And we also have some side street intersections where we have food trucks, and you have to block off a space or two on the side street. So, that becomes, I think, in my personal perspective, that's been the most heated issue we've encountered.
is the sanctity of the lawn chair observed? Can I put a lawn chair? Because that's the rule, man. The lawn chair holds your space. Can somebody come out and put out a lawn chair the night before and have that respected?
Well, and
you're on the panel.
I've always heard that was a Pittsburgh thing. I know you've lived in a lot of different places. I don't know if other places do that.
No,
too.
they don't. I've only seen it in Western PA. I see it in Ambridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime that there's something going on at Old Economy or I do see it. It's a Western PA thing.
It certainly is. For our crews, from my experience,
yeah,
a chair unattended will just end up being a chair moved.
Okay.
A chair attended, now
what's attended? If I'm standing near it, or does my tuchus have to be in the seat?
No, if you're standing near it, because somebody's going to come over and say, hey, I'm going to park there, and somebody has to be there saying, no, you're not. Okay. My car's on its way here, and I got here earlier to reserve the spot.
Okay. Now, in the South, they don't do it with parking chairs at a football game. You know how they put their barbecue there.
Do they really?
Yeah, they put the big barbecue right to the spots. Yes, they get their barbecue. I've seen you unload your barbecue, drop it off, then get circled around and get your part. Yes, that's how they do it.
That's fascinating. I think, again, people are ingenious in figuring out a way to get what they want done.
Well, what's the benefit of showing up that much earlier? Because it was my experience last year. Somebody would be parked, but within 10 minutes, you'd look up and they weren't parked. They were cruising. That was most of it. That was the beauty of it, seeing the cars go by while we were just standing there.
Part of the wonderful thing we have in this city of Beaver Falls is we have this almost 2.5-mile loop of cruise lane.
Okay.
It's one of the things that allows us to be one of the largest car cruises east of the Mississippi, maybe second or third. We're that big. And it's all because of the beautiful cruise lane. So a lot of people, for them, first of all, it's a long ways to walk if you want to walk the whole cruise lane. So people with cars, they'll get out in their car and they'll cruise around. But I guarantee you, when they pull out, they have somebody standing there preserving their spot.
Okay. Oh, my God. The youngest child gets to be a pylon until Dad gets back?
Something like that.
Don't move.
Right.
I need this when I get back.
Right.
Tom Gargaro is my guest. I've got more questions, and I'm getting questions on the Facebook Live feed. We'll take care of that after news. It's Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
Who's this week's Pick of the Litter? Listen to Beaver County Radio every Monday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon for the Beaver County Humane Society's Pick of the Litter. We'll be highlighting 2 lucky resident animals from the shelter who need a loving home. Plus, we'll be featuring pictures and information about the animals on our website each week. It's WBVP WMBA 99.3 FM and 95.7 FM's Pick of the Litter each Monday and Friday in the 11 o'clock hour of Teleforum. Pick of the Litter on Beaver County Radio is brought to you by the Beaver Falls Beauty Academy, Nally Elias and Associates, Tom Sipes Demolition, Albert's Heating and Air Conditioning in Conway, and Beaver County Radio. 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and 1460 WMBA.
Last month, I talked to you about 2 of my favorite things that go together, liver and onions. Can't you just smell the onions sizzling on the griddle? This is Andy Dangle from Freedom United Federal Credit Union. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right. I'm here to talk to you about another 2-of-a-kind pair that I really like, vehicles and vacations. You can't go on vacation without a good car, and you can't buy a good car without a great loan. See what I mean? One visit to Freedom United Federal Credit Union can get you heading down the road, or perhaps in the water, or the woods with, are you ready for some more alliteration? A cruise, a camper, or quad. Put a little sizzle in your life this year, and that starts with, get ready, here comes a doozy, a transportation, vacation, or recreation loan. Now there's 3 things I like together. Visit Freedom United Federal Credit Union, member NCUA, equal housing lender.
Hi, folks. I'm with our good friend John Diagardi from Roe Monument. John, you were telling me earlier that people really should not rush into choosing a memorial for their loved one. Now, why is that?
We found that families need to take ample time to grieve first. Grief is not something that we get over. but rather something that we learn to live with. So the length of time to grieve varies from person to person.
You mentioned that the monument can't be placed right away.
That's right. There are certain things that need to take place before a monument can be installed. So it's really worth taking time to think about how to plan and design a memorial that truly reflects a person's life. It's actually a healing activity that helps to alleviate grief.
John, this makes a lot of sense.
It does, and when the time is right to proceed, not only can Roe Monument help families choose and design their memorial, we can help them save as much as 50% by eliminating the middleman.
Thank you, John. Folks, you can learn more simply by visiting RomeMonuments.com.
When Mary arrived for her second visit, she opened my door and danced from the door to my front desk with this huge smile on her face. And then she just started bawling. She starts to tell me that it was the first time in 12 years that she felt relief. And then I started to well up.
That's Dr. Sean Ritchie of Tri-State Neuropathy Centers. And Mary Danced In is just one of his thousands of success stories.
Peripheral neuropathy, if I can explain it in terms that they feel it, it's like if you would sit on your foot and your foot falls asleep, you start to tap it and it comes back to life. Or their foot never comes back to life. It's always feeling that numbness, that pins and needles, that tingling, and it just never goes away. So Mary comes in, proceed to hear that she's had this for 12 years. Got to the point where she was about to go into a walker. 2 days later, she's dancing.
For your free consultation, call 724-940-9000. That's 724-940-9000. Or go to marydancedin.com.
I'm Dr. Sean Ritchie, and I'm teaming up with Dr. Jared Yevans to bring hope to the neuropathy sufferers in Beaver.
It's easier than ever to connect with Pittsburgh-based Goldberg, Persky & White. With offices in Pittsburgh, Johnstown, and Weirton, the mesothelioma attorneys can easily come to you. For a free consultation, you can email GPW at info@gpwlaw.com, call 1-800-COMPLEX, or get your questions answered immediately by connecting the GPW's online chat representatives who are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at gpwlaw.com. Goldberg, Persky & White, working lawyers for working people.
Legendary radio since 1948. It's 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge, coming to you live from the St. Barnabas studios.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning. As today's forecast is called for mostly sunny skies today. High is going to be 78 degrees. We'll have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. Pennsylvania State Police in Gibsonia are investigating after being dispatched to the scene of a hit-and-run accident on the Pennsylvania Turnpike in Big Beaver Borough at 2:05 p.m. on Monday afternoon. Upon arriving on the scene and investigating, it was learned that 74-year-old Richard Gregory of Hermitage was driving westbound on the Turnpike near mile marker 12 in a 2014 Toyota Camry when a vehicle that was traveling behind him at a faster rate of speed for unknown reasons struck his vehicle from behind. After the collision, Gregory pulled to the shoulder of the road, and the unknown vehicle continued to travel westbound on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. There is no description of the vehicle, and state troopers are asking anyone who may have witnessed this or has any information about this accident to call them at the Gibsonia Barracks. United States Attorney Cindy K. Chung announced yesterday that 35-year-old Brandon Washington, a former resident of Pittsburgh's North Side neighborhood, pleaded guilty in federal court to possession with intent to distribute cocaine and possession of a firearm in furtherance of drug trafficking offenses before United States District Judge Robert Coville. In connection with the guilty plea, the court was advised that in March of 2021, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police narcotics agents, working with the Drug Enforcement Administration, utilized an undercover agent to purchase cocaine from Washington at a hotel in Pittsburgh's North Side neighborhood. Agents executed search warrants on multiple hotel rooms thereafter, which led to the seizure of additional quantities of cocaine base in the form commonly known as crack cocaine, drug paraphernalia commonly used to process cocaine into cocaine base, and a loaded .45 caliber pistol. By pleading guilty, Washington admitted to those charges, and Judge Coville scheduled sentencing for October the 4th of 2022 at 9 a.m. Now, the law provides for a total sentence of not less than 5 years, but up to 40 years in prison and a fine of up to $1 million or both. Republican state lawmakers may soon decide which among the scores of potential amendments to the Pennsylvania Constitution will have any shot of making it to voter referendum. It's a tactic to get politically divisive policies around Democratic Governor Tom Wolf's much-used veto pen. The comparatively large number of proposals pending in the General Assembly address topics that range from voting rights to abortion and real estate taxes. House and Senate Republicans have introduced a slew of potential amendments. They've been emboldened by their success last year in persuading voters to narrowly approve limits on the governor's powers during emergencies. Jim Seals, who teamed with fellow musician Dash Cross on such 1970s soft rock hits as Summer Breeze, Diamond Grill, and We May Never Pass This Way Again, has died at the age of 80. His death was announced yesterday by several people, including John Ford Coley, who had formed the 70s duo England Dan and John Ford Coley with Seals' older brother Dan. Seals and Daryl George Dash Cross were Texas natives who had known each other since they were teenagers and had previously been in the Champs. They formed Seals and Crofts in the late 1960s. It's the inflation you're not supposed to see. From toilet paper to yogurt to corn chips, manufacturers are quietly shrinking package sizes without lowering their prices. It's dubbed shrinkflation, and it's accelerating worldwide. In the U.S., a small box of Kleenexes now has 60 tissues. A few months ago, it had 65. In the U.K., Nestle slimmed down coffee tins from 100 grams to 90 grams. Shrinkflation isn't new, experts say, but it proliferates in times of high inflation as companies grapple with rising costs for ingredients, packaging, labor, and transportation.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 78 degrees, and then overnight tonight showers and thunderstorms with a low of 59. Partly sunny skies tomorrow with a high of 73 degrees, and then on Friday, a slight chance of afternoon showers and a high of 76. Saturday, chance of showers before 2 p.m. High is going to be 73 degrees, and then on Sunday, partly sunny with a high of 76 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas. 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
Your community, your radio stations, originating from the St. Barnabas Control Studio in Beaver County. 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge.
Having a wonderful conversation, like always, with Tom. Tom Gargaro is my guest. You're the co-chairman of the Beaver Falls Car Cruise Committee. The car cruise is this Saturday. And if you want to see Tom, this is also being live Facebook feeded. And I got a question up here for you. They ask about, is there going to be a 50-50? And before the conversation ended on Facebook, my mother was invoked. You want to explain what's going on? It's like, well, no, but Eddie's mom's going to do something. You want to explain what's going on? Because you're the one that made this happen. You and I were going back and forth a couple weeks ago.
Right.
But there's not a 50-50 drawing, but there is an opportunity and an opportunity to help.
Absolutely. So, you graciously offered this handmade quilt from your mother.
Yeah, my mom does commemorative quilts by hand.
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
It depicts a...
I thought it was stolen. I'm like, I went into Frank's office, and I come back, I'm like, Tom, it was in here.
Yeah.
And you got it yesterday.
I got it yesterday,
okay.
Yeah. It's a beautiful handmade quilt depicting a silhouette of a policeman standing there with a dog.
It's a canine.
Canine, yeah. So we, as soon as you told us about it, Judith got the picture you sent us, Eddie. Mm-hmm. We put it up on our Facebook page, on the Beaver Falls Car Cruise Facebook page. So no 50-50 raffle. You can buy tickets for $5 a piece, either at the radio station stage or at the headquarters across the street on 14th Street. All of the money raised by raffling off that quilt will be given to the Beaver Falls Canine Initiative.
Get the canine that they need.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
I didn't know you had posted pictures of it.
Absolutely. It's
cool to see somebody in my family got talent.
Yeah. It's your mom's impressive.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's the feeling that I get when I was here last year. Everybody's in a good mood and everybody is looking to help somebody, and it's pleasant. I'm going to drag you into something. You told me a story off the air. You said you were at an event recently, and there was a person that came up and was just bound and determined to engage in a conversation with you about politics. As the co-chairman, can you whip out an edict and say, the entire day, on 7th, nobody talks about politics? Do you have that power as a co-chairman?
Well, If I have the power, I'll use it, Eddie. But
dude, that's how how do you use power? You use it, and if nobody stops you,
that's right.
Clearly, you had it.
That's right.
So you've got the power.
Okay.
So nobody's going to talk politics the entire day.
The whole day. Just have fun, enjoy, be happy with each other, get along. That's what we want.
All right. Somebody is calling, and I suspect it's for you. Hi. Thank you for calling Teleforum. What's your name?
Hey, it's Jimmy Fallon with Fox News. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. What's up?
You know what?
Huh.
Man, Frank Sparks told me to call into the show today. I'm not sure that you a heads up, but hello from New York.
Hello from New York. All right, this is going to get real weird real fast. Here's how it's going to work. Jimmy, explain to people what's going on. You start Monday here, and I want to thank you. Listen to me. I want to thank you. You starting here Monday gets me out of about 45 minutes of production. right off the bat. So explain to people what's going to happen Monday when they tune in at noon Eastern.
They're going to listen to a 3-hour radio show that leaves them believing they, too, could get a nationally syndicated talk show. Because if I can do it, as a former New York City cab driver, pretty much you could train an ape to host one of these shows, is my contention. But it is launch day out there in Ambridge and Beaver Falls. It's a big day in my family because I grew up on Long Island, but I have a lot of family in Ambridge and Beaver Falls. A lot of Polish Falcons out there, Eddie.
Okay.
Good people.
I want to ask, you mentioned something. You might have had the greatest job ever to prepare you for being a talk host, being a cabbie. How good did you get at telling people they were stupid without them realizing that they were stupid?
Well, you don't actually tell them, Eddie. You just drive them as if they're too stupid to notice you're going the long way, or the fun way. It's not overt. It's the meter telling them that you think they're stupid. You actually have somebody so you don't get your hands dirty.
Uh-huh.
But yes, it was good preparation for the spontaneity because a lot like live radio, you never know who's going to be on the phone line ready to talk. The door just swings open, and there's some kind of time traveler or hobbit or gosh knows what gets in a taxi in New York. I once had a woman really quick who communicated with me all the way to Brooklyn by using sock puppets on her hands. Like she got in, and it was a male sock puppet yelling at me to go to Cadman Plaza in Brooklyn. The female puppet wanted me to take the Manhattan Bridge, and I got yelled at all the way to Brooklyn by puppets. And, not an everyday experience in most lines of work, but in a New York City taxi, that's just Tuesday.
Which puppet tipped better?
Oddly enough, it was the woman who paid for the whole thing, and there was this argument about chivalry and the patriarchy, and it was the woman who handled the ride because the guy called her out on it. Yeah, I mean, she's clearly insane, but I'm happy to say we're married 15 years to this day.
I love that. Just as a happenstance, she was clearly insane, but it went well. Is that the attitude that has served you best once you got into radio? How'd you get into radio from getting yelled at by sock puppets? Walk me through that process.
Such a crazy story. So I grew up here driving a taxi and doing stand-up comedy in New York. And one night, a Fox booker saw me at a comedy club and asked me to come do some TV. So I literally showed up the next day. With my taxi in front of Fox News. And I did a show called Kennedy. And when the show was over, Kennedy was walking me out of Fox. And I said, I got to run. I got to get in my taxi. And she said that the driver's not even in the car. And I was like, oh, well, here's where it gets weird. I'm like an actual cab driver. And Kennedy wound up hiring me to be on her show as an on-air talent and a writer. And that led to me filling in on the radio at Fox. And then Fox let me do one show and was like, wow, this is a pretty easy show to listen to. And that combined with a couple of low-level extortion attempts and hostage situations, and here I am hosting a show.
How difficult is it to not be deadly serious all the time doing a talk show? Because I love listening to you because you talk about political stuff, but it's not daggers out. There's humor to it. How much of one can be put in the other without people looking at you askance?
Well, the truth is, more people would rather be around positive energy, I think, especially in radio, because what I've always noticed in the time I spent driving a cab is that radio is it's like a buddy cop movie. You know, when a guy gets in the car, he hears a new partner's voice, and he's got to decide if they can ride along and fight crime. You know, I'm always thinking of the listener, and for that reason, I'm trying to be good company in the car, so I don't actually find it hard to take a lighthearted approach to the news, you've just got to make sure people understand the difference. Meaning, I take the issues seriously. I just can't take myself seriously, because I'm a mess. So, for my money, I find that the show is a really easy show to be around because you're going to hear the same news you'd hear somewhere else, but it's easier to digest. It's like when I was a little kid, my parents would put my vitamins in my applesauce, so I didn't know I was actually eating those Flintstone vitamins, and you were able to digest it a little easier. That's kind of the approach, and what I find is people really do, as heated as we are politically, I think most people are exhausted by this way of doing politics. And there's just such a negative connotation to talking politics that I think what we're trying to do is get it back to this place where it's kind of like, the best way to explain it really quickly is, how the Super Bowl is not set up for people who watch football every Sunday. It's set up for people who want to see wacky commercials and watch the halftime show. And yes, they have their hardcore football viewer. That's kind of what my show is. It's more like political pop culture than actual politics. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. You're the prop bet version.
What's the over-under on this bill they're trying to pass in Congress?
That's it, yeah. Well, you know what? 8-5, he does a knock-knock joke when he's talking about Senate. Was that something that people looked at you? Because what you just said, Jimmy, I absolutely think is dead on brilliant. Jimmy Fiala is my guest. His show starts here Monday, straight up at noon. There's a whole lot of people, and I know you see them too, that are bound and determined. They're taking themselves extraordinarily seriously, down to the tie. How much pushback did you get when you didn't approach it that way?
They didn't mind. They actually, because they understood that I represent something different and that it wasn't going to work if they tried to turn me into an adult. So I was lucky because it was really on site. Like when I the first time I walked into Fox News, they're like, "I'm sorry, we're not hiring any window washers right now." And I was like, no, I'm serious. I'm here to be on TV. They're going to put me on. And they didn't believe me, but they came to figure it out after a while. And basically at Fox, I do every show at Fox. I do Tucker, I do The Five, I do Gutfeld, America's Newsroom, Harris Faulkner, all the good stuff. But my job at Fox is I'm really like a dog that got hired at the airport. You ever gone to the airport and seen how the dog that's sniffing everyone's bags, he's always wagging his tail because he can't believe they're trusting him to save the plane? Like, that's pretty much me at Fox. I'm so blown away that they're trusting me to save a particular TV show that my tail's wagging. People pet my stomach. They throw me tennis balls during commercial breaks. It's a mess.
That's the quickest way to get an endorsement is to scratch your belly.
It works. Well, things got a little dicey after the Me Too era. You couldn't do as much belly rub
Sure,
anymore,
yeah, sure.
We're trying to hold it together, Eddie.
What would you have done if you hadn't have found comedy and hadn't have found radio? I always want to ask people that do your job that question.
Yes. I would have been a killer salesman. I always had telemarketing jobs in the 90s. Growing up on Long Island, at one point I was selling coins that were so rare that even after you paid for them, they didn't show up in the mail. And it was one of those outfits where it was like my first job in high school. As I was there for 3 weeks, when week 4 showed up to get my paycheck, everybody that was running the place left in handcuffs. It was crazy. And it was either that, Eddie, or a cop, because everybody in my family is a cop. Both my brothers, my dad, 9 of my cousins, and my uncle. Every male member of my family is a cop. I probably would have been a cop were it not for this thing called the background check.
Sure.
But, aside from that.
Well, I think they're loosening that up, though, if you want to make another run at it.
We'll see how Monday goes.
Exactly.
Hold it together Monday. I'll be writing tickets.
All right. Tell people, man, thank you for calling, and tell people what to expect when they tune in Monday at noon. And don't look you up on a background check, but what to expect.
It's Fox Across America with me, Jimmy Fala, and we say it every day. The show is, as I describe it, a safe space for cool people. What I mean by cool people is I say you could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat. Just don't be a jerk. That's it. We're going to talk politics. We're going to have fun. We play a lot of song parodies. We write a lot of funny sketches. We have a sketch coming out on the show today called, how they have Top Gun Maverick?
Yeah.
We have a spin-off called Top Gun Biden. Where, the plane's now being flown by a president. He's got his blinker on the whole time, doesn't know what country he's bombing. It's a mess. But we make it fun. That's the point. is we're flying into the storm when it comes to crazy. The world's on fire. We're roasting radio marshmallows. I hope everybody can make it.
All right, last question. What should I have asked you that I didn't ask you? Jimmy Fallon is my guest. His new show starts right here Monday at noon. What should I have asked you that I didn't?
Oh, is there drug testing at Fox? And the answer is no.
Dude.
Everybody always asks me, they're like, oh, you must be on something. You're always on TV. You're always on the radio. No, the truth is, like, I spend so much time driving a cab, I don't consider this real work. So I'm always in a good mood. I'm used to getting cut off and shot at. So I'm just happy to be here. I guess, they say I'm high on life.
Yeah.
I am high on life and probably too much exhaust from driving around in my taxi with the window down.
So any day where you're not being yelled at and not being shot at, it's a bonus, and you've learned to recognize that.
Some days I miss it. I have to pay people. I go on Craigslist and pay an old lady to yell at me. But that's another story for another time.
Jimmy, I'm very much looking forward to Monday, my friend.
Me too, Eddie. It's a high honor. So
right.
Shout out to everybody in Beaver Falls and Ambridge and all my Polish Falcons listening as well.
All right, that's Jimmy Fiala. All right, I'm going to take a break, and we're going to get back to talking about the car cruise. I got a punchline for a joke of something he said, Tom, and I'm going to get me fired, so I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to press this button. And in fairness, I'm sure he has the punchline too when it was in his nightclub act.
The best of Beaver County is easy to discover. It's right here on your radio. Tune in Beaver County Radio or watch the best of Beaver County live on Facebook or YouTube video this and every Thursday from 11 to 11:30. The program is made possible by St. Barnabas. For over 3 years now, the show has been dedicated to shining light on the great things going on right here in your neighborhood and the people that are making it happen. This Thursday, enjoy conversation and insight from an intriguing lineup of guests who are creating excitement and having an impact right here in Beaver County. Your friends and neighbors at St. Barnabas are pleased to support the best of Beaver County. The radio broadcast will also be replayed each week from 11:30 to noon on Sundays on Beaver County Radio. Archived Best of Beaver County videos can be viewed on the WBVP WMBA Facebook page. It's your chance to encounter the best of Beaver County with host Mike Romai this Thursday starting at 11. For more information, visit beavercountyradio.com. 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com, invite you to tune in to Sounds of Faith. Tune in Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 for a mix of the best sacred music of all time. Sounds of Faith is brought to you by Crawford Tire and Beaver, the William Murphy Funeral Home, City Rescue Mission, MRS Physical Therapy, Circle of Friends, J&J Spratt Funeral Home, and Rome Monument and Inspirational Gifts. Sounds of Faith, uplifting, relaxing, and inspiring radio. Sunday mornings from 7 until 9 on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with WBVP, WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. Tune in every Friday at 12:30 for another insightful edition of Living Well, a special segment on Beaver County Radio designed to help you enjoy the best, most fulfilling, and healthiest life possible. Hosted by Dr. Joseph Maroon and Jeff Boast, and presented by St. Barnabas. Living Well, Fridays at 12:30, right here on Beaver County Radio, WBVP Beaver Falls, WMBA Ambridge, along with 99.3 FM and 95.7 FM.
Hey, it's Jimmy Fallon from Fox News, inviting you to tune into Beaver County Radio, weekdays from noon to 3 p.m. for Fox Across America with me, Jimmy Fallon. It is the fastest growing radio show in the country, mainly because of my weight. But the point is, you tune into our show, you could be a Republican, you could be a Democrat, just don't be a jerk. Listen live on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com.
All right, it's going to be, I'll see you, Jimmy. Jimmy, you check out Monday. You just heard him. Tom is here, Tom Gargaro. This is being live streamed. I'm trying to think, are we missing anything? I knew that today was going to be, not squirrely, but I knew today was going to be hectic. Just right in the middle of that. You know what we should have done, Tom?
Yeah.
When he was talking about his show starting Sunday, we should, hey, man, you want to be the grand marshal of a car cruise?
I was tempted to jump in and ask him if he could come Saturday, but
yeah. What are you doing Saturday?
Yeah.
Come on by.
Yeah.
And credit where credit's due. You don't hear the term Fox Network and drug testing in the same sentence that often.
True. That's true.
And to answer the question regarding drug testing in the media, if you got a union card, you're probably okay.
Yeah.
But, okay, well, that was weird. This is going to be weird if Saturday doesn't exceed your expectations. Last year was phenomenal. Crowd-wise, do you have any ballpark figure of what last year was? It had to be in the thousands.
Well, we have an estimate from a person who did several drone flyovers, and he felt it was 12 to 14,000 people throughout the day.
It was all sorts of people. Oh, they got a drone?
Well, we had a friend of ours that did the drone, and that's what he does. He does like crowd counts. So.
Okay, did you see the story? There's a company that was exploring it. Now they're worried about it. They were going to put tasers on drones.
Saw that, yeah.
As far as crowd control, what are your thoughts of that?
Yeah, we'll probably stay away from that.
Okay. How many more years are you going to do this?
Well,
You're 7, 8 in?
7 in. I mean, the committee is a very dedicated group. We want to see the cruise continue perpetuity. So we don't really I think everybody on the committee, by this time of the year, they're all pretty tired. And after Saturday, we're very, very tired.
You're sick of each other?
Yeah.
Honestly, you're like, man, I can't. I love you. I'll deal with you in 2 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
We wait until the follow-up meeting a month or two down the line and see where everybody stands.
All right. Are mom and dad getting a divorce? No, they worked it out. They'll go another.
Right.
They'll go another year.
Right.
What's your favorite thing? One thing. I know you show up in that Cadillac and you're pretty beaming when you roll in that.
Yeah, I mean, for my wife Judith and I, that Cadillac was my dad's, you know.
That's
so
the wheels,
there's a real sentimental attachment to that. We just love talking to people about it. It has a plate on the front that says Vince's 67. You know, people come up and say, "Are you Vince?" I said, "No, that was my dad," and it gives you an opportunity to talk about it. So,
right.
But I mean, aside from that, I think the best thing is the reward of seeing all the months of work that the committee puts together. That our goal is for the city of Beaver Falls and for everybody that comes, that it's a grand day and everybody has fun and enjoys themselves.
And if not, the drones.
Right. And, you know, the one thing, of course, every car cruise worries about is the weather.
Yeah.
So 2-3 days ago, it was showing 60% chance of rain Saturday morning.
Are you OCD in it? Are you checking your weather app all the time?
Yeah, I don't
now?
really need to. Given my dad was a meteorologist, and, you know, I don't ask much. He's been gone over 20 years. I don't ask much of him. But once in a while, I'll say, "Hey, Dad, you know, June 11th.
Hook it up."
And people were texting and calling me saying, "Oh, no, it's going to rain." And I said, "It's not going to rain on Saturday."
If memory serves, it was predicted it was going to rain last year. It didn't rain a drop.
Right. It'll be a beautiful day, mid-70s, no rain at all. You watch and see.
All right. Compliments of Tom's dad.
Right.
Tom Gargaro, the co-chairman of Beaver Falls Car Cruise, has been my guest. It's always great seeing you. As soon as I press this button, we can eat those donuts you brought.
Thank you very much for having me, Eddie. Thank you.
Thank you. Always.
Thank you.
Always, even without the donuts.
When we walk, when we reach, when we play, we're moving through life. Lately, we haven't been moving enough. An estimated 80% of Americans aren't getting their recommended daily physical activity. This is a health crisis, and the solution is in our hands and our feet. It's on our shoulders. It's on our backs. It's in our souls. It's time to move and keep moving, America. Wherever you are, however you can. Movement reduces your risk of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. It improves your brain function, pain management, and immune system. And when you need help, physical therapists and physical therapist assistants are by your side, increasing your strength and mobility, and improving your quality of life through prescribed exercise and teamwork. Because we are meant to climb, to dance, to soar, to thrive. Choose to move. Choose physical therapy. Visit ChoosePT.com.
Hi, I'm Marcel Spears. Keeping our global neighborhood safe is a tough job, one made just a bit safer with the help of America's brave military dogs. These dogs, who often take the same risks and make the same sacrifices as our human warriors, keep our troops safe by sniffing out bombs and IEDs, locating enemy positions, and bringing a sense of comfort and home to an almost unimaginable circumstance. Yet, when these brave canine heroes retire, they're not always given the same treatment as our military VIPs, and are too often left overseas. American Humane works to bring home these valiant dogs and reunite them with the people who mean the most to them, their handlers, so they can enjoy happy, healthy, well-deserved retirements. To learn how you can help America's four-footed heroes, visit AmericanHumane.org.
United States Deputy Sheriff's Association is a national nonprofit and America's largest non-governmental provider of services to law enforcement. USDSA assists city, county, state, and federal law enforcement agencies through our many varied programs, including free safety equipment donations, free officer survival training, cash donations, and condolence letters to the family of law enforcement officers who perish in the line of duty. USDSA also offers college scholarships for the dependent children of law enforcement, along with a citizen awareness program and thank you cards to law enforcement. These are just some of the ways United States Deputy Sheriff's Association assists America's law enforcement and the citizens they serve. For more information about United States Deputy Sheriff's Association or to see how you can help, visit www.usdeputy.org. United States Deputy Sheriff's Association, taking training to the next level because lives are on the line.
I'm okay. You're not okay. It's normal to have diarrhea and stomach pains. Sometimes, but not as often as you do. I've got this under control. No, you don't.
It's time to let that voice inside your head be heard. Urgent diarrhea and chronic stomach pain can be signs of Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis.